Right, well, welcome to the normal parish council meeting, the monthly meeting. Tonight we've got our usual reports from the Clerk, ward councillors, a report on the clubhouse, and from the Parishes Forum, which is when all the parishes in Milton Keynes get together. We've got two planning applications tonight, one for the reshaping of a tree at Acorn Nursery and one for a non-material amendment at 45 Thrupp Close. The consultation periods for both of these expired on the 1st of October. So they were circulated to councillors to see if they wanted an extraordinary meeting, but councillors were content. So the councillors made no comment on those applications. We will have an update on previous planning applications. The resolutions tonight are to comment or respond to a consultation on the Milton Keynes new city plan, to acquire a child bollard for School Lane, the usual annual purchase of a wreath and commit to a donation to the new Bradwell Silver Band as part of the Remembrance Day commemoration. We will be talking about participating in the VE Day commemoration next May. We have to adopt a policy on complaints, which we'd previously overlooked. We had to decide on some work to repair the tennis court floodlights and to agree on projects to take forward for public art funding. Now, we were going to have a part two to discuss some streetlights in the sports ground in Prospect Place and for some tree work in the sports ground. Now, as there are only single tenders for those works, we'll bring those forward into part one, so that everyone can see what we're discussing. And then finally, we'll approve the monthly payment schedule and consider the external auditor's report on our accounts for 2023-24. So we'll now start with an open forum. I believe that Steve Patrick, you want to speak.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to address the council. Parish Council. I just want to speak quite briefly about the Milton Keynes city plan as it is. I've just got 3 points to make. My first point is really about the numbers. When you look into the actual draft plan that is published under consultation at the moment, the consultation closes in the next couple of days. The plan states that they're aiming to grow Milton Keynes by 63,000 houses. Okay. Alongside the plan, there's been an assessment of sites, including 3 sites in Castlethorpe. That assessment, when you add it up, and I've sent these numbers to you, when you add it up, it equates to 49,227 identified houses across Milton Keynes that are deemed deliverable and suitable. So 13,043 of those already have planning permission, according to the table, and 36,184 are the others deemed suitable and deliverable. The point I'm making with these numbers is that total of 49,227 does not meet the needs of the stated number 63,000. So Milton Keynes Council are short on their land. So it's a fair conclusion to say they're going to have to put in as much of this land as they can. And this is why I want to bring it to the attention of the village. Because in the last plan, the houses were, the areas of land were allocated into the village, and then the village had a big fight to try and stop the development and remove them from the plan, which it successfully did at the time. That's my point number 1. Point number 2 is pretty short. We've seen the impact on Hanslow. We've seen the impact on the doctor's surgery. We see the impact on the roads, which aren't designed for the traffic that they're carrying. And we've seen the loss of fields in this area and the loss of the environment So that's why I want to encourage the parish council to try and resist this development and object to it. And I believe it's important to object in these early stages, because the longer it's left, the harder it will be to take things out of the plan. So I will conclude on my final point. It's really a lot of people I've spoken to are against this development, are against us being included in this level of expansion. Hounslow has had great expansion, and there's over 1,800 houses being assessed in the Hounslow area, which will cause footfall problems on our roads. I'll finish by saying I'd just like you all to think of the village, think of the people and the future of this area when you're considering the Milton Keynes plan. Thank you.
Okay. I won't respond at length because we've got an agenda item and we've got a draft response that we will consider later. But what I would say is, you know, you are pushing on an open door here. I think I don't believe that any members of the parish council are, and certainly not the parish council as a whole, are in favour of further development. But the important point for residents to note, and as I sent to you, Steve, none of these sites, none of the 3 sites in Castlethorpe have been put forward in the draft new city plan, so that there isn't anything there, if you like, to object to. I think we probably will make some general comments about limited facilities and so on, because, you know, we don't want that. I mean, it's, but I think, you know, broadly, and I hope I'm not anticipating what the council's going to say later on, but I think you know you are an open door. Okay. Right.
I think it is important that the parish council do preempt anything, if you like, because I don't want to be caught.
Yes, I mean,
Carrington Grove.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, Carrington Grove is very different. We actually brought that forward ourselves. Okay, look, we're in danger of saying stuff now, but I want to say that. Okay, right, okay. Thank you very much for that, Steve. I'm afraid it is item 7.2, so there's a bit of water under the bridge before we get there. Right, in that case, we'll move into the parish council meeting. We've got apologies for absence, do we? It's very nice. Full turnout. Declarations of interest, in addition to the ones that we're routinely reporting now for Castlethorpe Community Space and CBSA.
I've got one item on the payment schedule.
On the payment schedule, okay. You may go to the kitchen at the appropriate moment.
Play with the lights.
Yeah, play with the lights. Yeah, 2 flashes means, you know, approved. One. Right, move on to the minutes of the previous meeting. As a true record, does anyone have any matters of fact that they want to raise on the minutes of the 2nd of September?
On the minutes of
in that case, may I have a proposer, which is Russell, and a seconder is Kay, and all in favour? Yeah, great. So if I can sign that. Moving on then to the clerk's report. You've had a bit of a tidy up, Jackie. So most of this is just for information, but just to pick up items 1 to 11, which are the open actions. Are there any questions on any of those anyone wants to raise?
Kay and I have got a date now for meeting the highways officer on the parking bays in South Street. That's just coming in this afternoon.
Okay, very good.
17.
Okay.
Great.
Items carried forward. I think these are all. Are you still going to do this speed watch? Sorry, I'm not quite sure where that is.
Yeah, it's
Bit higher up,
something that,
Number 10.
really got around to starting.
Yeah, well, I think rather like me,
But-
you've been so
Yeah,
tied
but
up
that's
with the
taken a lot of
clubhouse.
time.
Yeah, fair dues.
Item 12, do you want anything else?
It's very, can't really get hold of anybody at the moment.
Yeah,
And
well, just think we
try
ought
and
to-
give somebody a bit higher in estates.
I think they ought to, there's the three parish councillors right forward, 2 million gains, because there could be building a lot more up there. But they donated it previously when we done the railroad narrows and that we got some more money spent on our road around this way.
Yeah, we need to write to the right people, but
Yeah.
there's. fair
Just on that, obviously, I work, there's not a lot of land in the actual, in the park, on the park itself available anymore. There's obviously building going up there now, and there's not a lot of space left to actually build,
So
so.
plenty out the back.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
unless they take more fields of farmer, which I've not heard anything about that, but obviously we'd be able to see if they start putting new fencing up. At the moment, there is no movement in regards of expanding the actual footprint of the park.
Well, we do have, and I know Alison will be speaking on this when we come to the NCP. You know, there are some concerns about the way in which it will be possibly designated, and I've included that in the draft, as you may have seen, of our response. Okay.
They can't build houses there, can they?
No, they
because of
wouldn't. They wouldn't.
security and stuff.
But what they've done, they've built that new car park, put the garden, they're taking down 2 buildings, I believe, inside to build up fresh buildings.
Okay, that's fine.
They did car parks, but they
Okay.
took away car parking space, but building on them.
Yeah. Right. And highways, again, I must turn back my attention. I mean, some of these are marked as completed, but by completed, it's just that they turned around and said, we're not doing anything. Yeah, which is an interesting way of defining completed, really. Honestly, I do wonder, after all our troubles with highways over the past years, whether they've just decided that Castlethorpe is going to be left to deteriorate gently into farm tracks. I mean, all sorts of things, you know. On Bullington End Road, the animal crossing sign has been gone for about a year or so. That's meant to be something that you can't even report online. You have to report a damaged road sign over the phone because it's an urgent matter. The build out on Bullington End Road, where I even sent them the details of Bill's coaches when they took it out. The speed limit sign that's askew down in the end of Station Road. The granite sets that are all out in North Street, particularly on the corner opposite Elm Tree Cottage. I mean, it just goes on and on. All the stuff with the curbs. There's granite sets on the length of North Street. I mean, it's and probably in South Street as well. Yes.
I've ridden
I mean,
the clubhouse in South Street and they're not just done this time.
Yeah.
The big old red territory.
Yeah. Anyway, there we are. Once we get our heads above water again, we'll start pursuing those. Anything else anyone wants to add on Clerk's or comment on Clerk's report, and we move on?
The action regarding the Carrington Arms as well, have we heard back from Christopher?
Well, I put it up.
It's up for sale.
For auction.
16, maybe.
I don't think it
It's
is.
a bit premature, isn't it? Things up for development as a house.
Well, they can apply and well, yes, sorry.
Actually, Chair, one thing, I did take an action, I meeting to have a look down the road at some overhanging trees, a new road. I've driven down there and I'm not great at detail, but I can't see anything that the highways would consider to be overgrown.
Before you go over the bridge, on the left and right side, great big tigers. And they're hanging out.
They're not obstructing the road.
when you've got a dust cart going down there, they keep doing it. Just how they sold a bit caravan ripped out of it, it's got to be sticking out in the road.
I've no look, I couldn't see anything.
You thought Dan Massey last year.
Okay.
Dan Massey.
What, exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, well, perhaps you can liaise outside the meeting on that. All right, let's move on to ward councillors' report then, Alison. I'll suspend the meeting when we come to NCP so that you can talk about Hanslope Park then.
Yeah.
But any other news from the front?
Yeah, just a couple of things. So, just follow up on highways. So I am vice chair of the scrutiny committee, so I have a meeting every 8 weeks with highways. Because there has been delays in a lot of the casework. So if you want to provide me with a list with anything that goes out, I can send that in to Stuart before I go and meet him.
Yeah.
So he can come back with an answer. So
Well, it's fundamentally the list that is in the Clerk's report. We separated out because highways is such a, big bit of it.
Yeah.
And you've got that. So if you just take that, that would be the easiest way. Yeah.
That will be on the 29th, so I'll send it to him before the 29th. And then I'll
Okay.
So,
And if you want clarification on any of what the points mean, because they can be a bit cryptic, just give Jackie or me a call.
okay, brilliant. And just, I don't think, also I had quite a few complaints about the bin service around Castlethorpe. It seems to, the people that I've had issues with, seems to be okay from last week. And again, we're doing a screening meeting on whole waste management, because after a period of what seemed to be calm, there seems to have been a whole load of issues over the past few weeks. So they're going to produce all the data of actually what's going on and try and it seems to have sorted out, but there needs to be further work done on.
I mean, I did see an announcement by, I can never remember which way around it is, Jenny Markley Wilson or Wilson Markley, to the effect that they'd suffered from a lot of the operators being sick or whatever, and they were very short-handed. Certainly in Thrupp Close, 1 week we didn't get our black bins collected at all, or at least my bit wasn't. But it was caught up last week.
Yeah.
I think they do what they can, but if they really are short-handed, I think sometimes it does go on. It is the lack of communication, though. I tell you what would be good is if there is an inability to collect in an area, if they could let the clerk of the parish know, and then the clerk can know, because certainly in Thrupp Close, our black bins were out right through until the next week. They weren't brought back. And that's kind of unsightly and it's inconvenient and so on. So I think that would be a small thing that they could do, just to say, well, we can't manage it this week, but we'll double it, we'll do it next week.
Well, hopefully it's getting better, but we'll get to the bottom of it for the next one.
They've also started feeding bins wherever they think that as well.
I just drop them up when I like them.
Yeah. Because at the beginning, they said that they would actually drop them off, but how many metres away from where they would pick them up? And I had to check my bin up the road the other day and I find it.
Just check out, just so, because that's always been the case.
Yeah, but they made a promise.
They did.
They actually made a promise that they were not going to do that.
Well, it wasn't a promise, it was a contractual commitment.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a separate reporting mechanism if your bin hasn't been put back to the property boundary, because all the waste management trucks have cameras on them, so they can go back and look at it and the contractor gets financially dinged for it.
Yeah.
So do if you're having problems reporting.
Go on, Ian.
Two there things there. I thought we got the red bin for one and blue bin for another. Why do they always put the red and blue on the same lorry? Because the two lads who'd come and get the second one or the first one properly.
No.
You've only got one at the other house.
Yeah.
I have one blue one and a red one. I don't have them both at the same time. They've been putting both of them in the same lorry.
Especially after that week, so ready.
It's not. They've been emptying them last week. In the same lorry.
That must have just been to them.
That's the second time it's happened.
But you should be-
There are alternate reads.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be touching the one colour that's not meant to be collected.
Yeah.
And the other thing though, on the Bullington End Road works, over 20 years, 20 years ago, when Karen Hill was clerk here, and Bert Tapp's still around then, we tried to get Bullington End Road resurfaced.
Mhm.
And there's been no pleasure at all, and it's getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, funnily enough, I was going to raise that. I mean, I mean, I remember we managed to get most of, I don't know if we got it or if it happened, but we got most of the rest of the village resurfaced,
Yeah.
including an incredible standard of finishing the checkers. I couldn't believe the finish they put down there. But Bullington End Road wasn't done, and we were told it was on a cycle, but it just hasn't happened. And as Ian says now, it's been patched and patched and patched. And each individual bit probably doesn't constitute a repairable fault.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, the road as a whole, it's just, you drive down it and you might as well be on a gravel track.
This is my answer with Hanford Park, because that one that did a Bullington Road and out of Bullington End Road and back into Cllrs Village, that supplied the Wi-Fi, etc. Then to Hanford Park.
Okay, anything else, Alison?
No, there was, I know, I had a couple of issues, not just in Castlethorpe, but in some of the other wards about housing and housing association allocations. I know there was something raised about S106. And so we're going to, myself and other councillors, going to look into making sure that housing is actually using the S106 allocations for local people that are social and affordable housing, because it looks like they may be non-compliant with the agreements are.
Yes, I have to say, seeing that correspondence that Liam had, without saying it was a prospective resident who close ties to the village, wrote to me to ask if we could intercede on a house that was coming vacant in Thrupp Close. I asked, I think Liam took it up as casework, but did keep me copied in on the correspondence, and it was almost as if housing was saying, well, there may be an S106 which says we have to consider them, but two fingers to that. This is the order we're going to do it in, which I thought was very naughty.
Well, I'm going to raise it with the director of housing, because I also vice chair another committee that allows me to have a meeting with her every 8 weeks and ask for a review of it, because there's no having S106 experience if they're not going to one of them.
No, absolutely.
And just hand surgery extension project is going to be delayed because we've got the infighting between two integrated care boards, Northampton and Milton Keynes. I don't know how we're going to get this one solved, but
I'm sorry, what?
We've got, there's a
Primary care board,
yes, so they're now called the ICBs, the integrated care boards. So Milton Keynes, you would have thought was our ICB, but it's not, it's Northampton, because it's registered at the Northampton branch. So we can't get them to agree on actually whether they'll let the surgery expand.
That's outrageous, Andrew Geary and I sorted that out about 10 years ago and got Milton Keynes, because funny enough, it's not just our end where there's a different primary care board. The South also has it with Bedford, I think.
Yes.
And we made a big fuss and we got it sorted out.
But it has reverted to this hodgepodge of a mess between different services that are offered between Northampton and Milton Keynes. So there's like and just the other thing, just as an FYI, Tackland is going to be applying for a 20 miles an hour speed limit, and also speed indicator devices.
Sorry, for what?
Tackland is applying for 20 mile an hour speed limits through there, as well as speed indicator devices, and also the flood measures that can be completed.
It's not that long ago, it was unrestricted.
Yeah. But there's been quite a few people lost walls and things. So, but in Parishes, when I went down to take some pictures, 2 vehicles was quite many out.
Really? Not keen on these things. Being a person who drives through there quite regularly. But anyway, there we go.
And that's it. And then I'll update you about the new city plan.
Okay, thank you very much. Could you pass the council's congratulations to Liam on his marriage, recent marriage? So there's that. Many congrats. And a good reason for not being here tonight, I suppose.
It's no excuse.
Right. If we move on in that case, I'll give the clubhouse report. As I think you all know, there was a very well attended open day on the 14th of September, and I think all the feedback was extremely positive from residents. I think they were really quite surprised, pleasantly surprised at what has been done there. The construction phase is now complete, and actually the final invoice is in our payment schedule tonight. On fitting it out, some initial equipment has been put in the kitchen, mostly using the grant that we received from the Milton Keynes Community Foundation, for which we're very grateful. But further equipment is on hold until we're sure about the source of funding. We have got an application in with National Lottery, but you know, we don't have necessarily highly rated chances. But we'll know about that in November. We're also hopeful there'll be a surplus from the Village Amenities S106 fund, which is currently allocated to the village shop. And they've committed to let us know whether they'll need that money in November as well, in fact, before our next meeting. But there has been a bit of a delay, as you probably noticed. We've launched an appeal to raise funds by direct payments to Castlethorpe Community Space, Community Invest Company, and also via crowdfunding. You know, if the worst comes to the worst, we can do the basic fit out from parish council funds, but that will mean borrowing, you know, drawing down the total of that Public Works Loan Board loan that we you know, the facility which we haven't had to draw down on yet. And obviously we'd all prefer not to do that if possible, because that's a 20-year commitment. But if we make the decisions in November, some of the equipment's on reasonably long delivery. So, you know, we're talking about getting it installed probably in January, but obviously the Christmas break in between as well, which will be dead time from that point of view and not from others. The final phase is actually how the clubhouse is going to operate. It's going to be called the Pavilion Cafe and Bar, and it will be done by subleasing to a tenant. Expressions of interest were invited at the end of August, with a closing date at the end of September, and a good number, and then we'll say exactly how many were received. A prospectus has been produced, which has been sent to the applicants, together with an initial questionnaire, which is due back at the end of this week. The community space will then sift through those applicants and decide with whom to proceed to the next stage, which will include, you know, face-to-face meetings. And hopefully that will result in a preferred applicant round about, you know, late November, early December, I think is probably the timescale we're looking at there. The tenant then obviously has to do a lot of his or her work, getting the licenses, sorting out stock, hiring staff. So, you know, we're hopeful that the fitting out and the tenant process will converge somewhere around about January, latest early February, that sort of time. So, which is actually quite good. I mean, it would have been, you know, I think we did have some ambitions that we might try and get it open before Christmas, but actually that would have been a really bad idea. You know, to throw someone in right at the deep end of the Christmas season would have been very hard. So this will give the tenant a start and the villagers a chance to start up in a quieter way. So that's where we are in the clubhouse. Any questions on that I can answer?
I'd just say that I put notices on the notice boards today with the website for the community interest company. It's castlethorpecns.org.uk, and it's got details of how you can donate money. The crowdfunding went live at the weekend. It's now up to £660.
Yeah, good. Thank you for doing that, Russell.
Who chose the name? Because there was I thought it might have been a competition to come up with a name.
I think that would have been very hard. It was basically the directors came up with it.
We had the castle as a #1 contender at one point.
Sorry, the castle,
Somebody
yeah.
had- somebody-
Well, funny enough, I did quite favour the castle, but I was persuaded that was something that it'd be better just calling it the pavilion. Anyway, there we go. Steve, do you want to talk about the Parishes Forum?
Not really. It's been included as an agenda, as an appendix, and if people want to have a read through it, if they've got any questions.
Yeah.
I don't think there are any massive highlights coming up. Getting off the streets for a couple of hours.
Well, I think there was a discussion on flooding because there are some areas in Milton Keynes that do suffer quite badly from flooding.
But there's
and-
nothing new.
No, and as a result, Russell has put, I think, have you put it up now, the contact numbers for the flooding? Yeah. So the contact, we are very, very fortunate here that, houses haven't flooded. Though I do know that garages have, particularly in Bullington End Road, and some gardens have flooded. But there are the flood contact numbers now on the village website that Russell's put up there. So if anyone does have concerns at the time, they know who to ring. Best not to try and ring one of us, because to be honest, we'll be trying to doing it secondhand, and all we'll be doing is phoning the same number and saying, Mr. or Mrs. X says that, and that's not very good, particularly when it's things like water coming up through basically a surface water drain, which quite often happens, or a surface water.
Yeah,
You've got to know which
that's
one it is.
The first thing to establish what it is and who's responsible for it. And
that's right.
Keynes Council will help you out with doing that.
Jackie, did Malcolm leave another up there?
No, we haven't yet.
No.
Give them a
I
chance.
think you'll find, because all the water comes storming out by that green tank again the other day with that water.
They did, yeah.
So the pipe is blocked from by that gate to the one in the road.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
a matter of getting,
Well-
Milton Keynes Council coming to it. Their property.
Well, not quite sure where it becomes their property. Can we talk about that outside? I mean, the current status is that we're trying to get Michael Lever. In fact, I think you're trying to talk to him about coming and I don't know, whether he's rodding it or repairing it or whatever. But of course, we've got to have an archaeologist to. Oh, he's just doing a camera.
Oh, just to see whether it
So you
was
can put a
blocked.
camera down and think that where Paris blocked in the
Yeah,
road.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
All
sorry,
right.
I just, one other thing on the clubhouse, is there going to be members, is there going to be members,
There are two aspects to the operation. One is a cafe, which will be open to everyone,
Yeah.
and the other is a bar, and the alcohol bit will be restricted to members.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, there was one thing on the Parishes Forum and Lincoln Palace and Nursery. Keith Weaver passed away. Is he being replaced or?
I don't know, they haven't announced a formal replacement.
Keith was the road safety officer. He had been out to the village and looked at some, one or two things, given us a little bit of help. So, very sad, very unexpected.
Just
Right.
just to go back to the floods, I've just checked on the website and I haven't actually put the numbers.
All right.
Well, I will do that.
Yeah,
Russell will put the numbers.
I was only think, sorry to come back, but the point is that places are flooding that have never flooded before. And there are factors like artificial grass and bad drainage, stuff like that, not dredging ditches,
Yeah.
and it can happen anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on then, if we may, section 5, I've already mentioned that these are the consultations. These are planning applications. Councillors didn't really have any comments on these two pretty minor applications, and so we no commented it. Section 6 is reporting back on previous applications. Does anyone want to raise anything on any of these? No. Okay. let's move on to section 7, which is resolutions. We now don't need the public excluded part 2 to the meeting. So we come to the Parish Council response to the new city plan consultation, which has got to be submitted before Wednesday. So now I put up a draft in councillors' papers, and Russell has made some suggested amendments, which you can see in red. Now, what it says is that we're broadly supportive of the NCP. We support that the sites identified as suitable are not included in the draft NCP, and suggest that any designation for housing should be through a new modified neighbourhood plan, should residents support the sites rather than the NCP. We noted that the parish has voluntarily supported 2 recent developments at Carrington Grove through the NP and the old station yard. You remember we actually did survey the village many years ago as to whether it wanted light industry or residential. And together with one-offs, which have increased the number of houses by about 10%. Carrington Grove has only been occupied in the last year, and the old station yard is still under construction. Given the limited facilities in the village, further development is not appropriate in this iteration of the local plan. I'll move past your comments, Russell, if I may, for a minute, or that particular comment. The council also notes 2 potential areas for wind turbines within the parish. Although these are not close to the village itself, the council would expect full consultation with the householders near to the proposed sites, as well as the landowners, to ensure there is no or low nuisance. And Russell has added, I think I'm very happy for this one, it should also be noted that any turbines on these sites would dominate the skyline from the Toe Valley, which is designated as being landscape of special character. I did try to find that on the Milton Keynes website, and Russell and I pinged emails to and fro, but I'm pretty certain it is something of special character.
I think it came up to when we had the battle with the turbine, the Christmas Centre.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
I then put in, after discussion with Alison, actually, finally it's been drawn to the Parish Council's attention that the draft NCP proposed a local development order for Hanslope Park. This was not included in the presentations made to residents and should not be included until there's been more information provided. In particular, what the limit on site expansion would be, and I play back Darren's comments about taking more fields, and the upper limit on road movements resulting from the LDO, as a significant proportion of Hanslope Park traffic passes through Castlethorpe and along Bullington End Road, which itself is in poor condition, which we've already discussed, and with considerable and unavoidable on-road parking. I just made this point here. You know, there's some irony as the Castlethorpe neighbourhood plan supported development proposals at the Lodge Farm and Balney business centres in Castlethorpe by way of farm diversification. It is noted that planning applications at Lodge Farm Business Centre have been repeatedly refused, most recently on the grounds that it's not easily accessible by sustainable transport. It would make more sense to have a local development order for Lodge Farm Business Centre, which has got both footpaths and the Sustrand cycle track, than at Hanslope Park, which has got neither. Anyway, that was just a little rant by me, but there we go. Now, Russell had actually also put in a section saying that verbal assurances had been given about the size of these developments being no more than 10, which turned out not to be the case. My suggestion, Russell, is that we perhaps don't put that. I mean, that's a legitimate complaint about the information that was given, but it's not really a response.
I don't think it was rural things they said. The non-strategic development.
Yeah, well,
categorically.
Yeah, well, they clearly misspoke, but and it's something we could complain about, but I mean, I don't think it's, you know, at the heart of our response. Now, just before we go, can we invite Alison to, because Alison's been quite hot on this LDO at Hanslope Park. And I wonder if you'd like to, you've presumably had a chance to read what we've written.
Yeah.
And I did read, because Brian Barton from Mal actually circulated responses from all of the parishes to the NCP. I did read Hanslope's, which was quite long, but we believe in brevity here. But if you'd like to comment.
Yeah, the concerns from Hanslope and Hampshire as well, about what's going on at Hanslope Park is that there's local development order would basically release them from the normal planning constraints. The example that they used was where it was used for the Royal Veterinary College in Hatfield. So that's 2.5 miles from the A1M, and so specifically built and has less than half the employees that Hanslope Park does. So the concern was, especially when we were hit with so much flooding, as we know, the roads can be problematic around here. There isn't access to public transport to the park, so we were very much against it, as well as some of the principles on impacts the environment, biodiversity, and so on. So it was felt that it would be inappropriate, if there is key employment site, they need to develop it, should be under the most rigorous scrutiny because of where it's located. So that was the objection that went through, and obviously all of the residents of Cllrs and various from all around the ward have seemed to come down on this month before. So moving in our objections, the individual councillors are a whole bunch of residents, because it closes on Wednesday.
Yes, it does, yes.
Hopefully they'll remove it. I can understand why they want to do it, because there has been a lot of planning applications at Hanslope Park, and that costs an awful lot of time, effort, money for the team of council. But the principle is it shouldn't be a federal development.
As a matter of fact, Alison, have there been a lot of planning applications at Hanslope?
We've not had many at all.
Because the reason I say that,
There have been, because we went through our planning group on Hanslope Parish Council, which there's been about 50 in the past 10 years. So some of it's just discharging of various requirements, but there's been a lot of the car parking, the lighting, and all the rest of it. So
the reason I say that is that from my working days, I distinctly remember going to, it wasn't Hanslope Park, it was another one of these defence establishments. And they basically said, we're Crown Estate, we don't need planning permission, we can do what we like.
yeah.
I was taken aback a bit by the brusqueness of what they said. And I thought that was the case with Hanslope Park, that they could do what they needed. And it was almost as, where they interface with the public highway, they've got to have the right, highway splays and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I thought that when it came to the substantive thing, are we going to put a building up? If they want to put a building up, they can just go and do it, and can have any design that it wants and so on.
And they are still subject to planning they are still subject to planning requirements. But that's the concern about this local development order, which just means that it's a free-for-all.
Yeah.
Skip increased residential development. Also,
yeah, well, this is the other issue, because we want to make sure, well, certainly those who feel the same way that I do, to prevent further development then. And I think that a local development order would make it much easier to do a lot of different kind of development, and that's what we're trying to do.
Are you
guilty issue for any residential?
Are you content with what we've drafted here?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I think that we should put a little bit more on the case for not having more development in Castlethorpe, and I think we should elaborate on the situation of the roads.
Yeah.
Because that's a major issue, not just actually because there'll be more cars on the road, but also the traffic and the development as well, for every direction. And that road is absolutely stacked at the moment already, the road going over the little bridges. And I think, am I right in thinking that the floods actually reached that side of Shepperton, that triangle? It was nearly there, if not
No,
over there.
the road
Not
itself,
over there.
the road itself did flood.
I've never seen the field was as high as it was this time, it was underwater.
Yeah,
So there's that, also the lack of facilities, because we don't have facilities. I'm not even talking about transport, but for Hanslope surgery, to have more residents added at this stage, when they've done nothing at all. I'm not talking Hanslope surgery, I'm talking about the actual situation, about not letting them extend. They can't get staff. So how on earth are they going to cope with more houses around Castlethorpe? So I honestly think that there should be something in that, and I think we ought to. I know you rolled your eyes when I said preempt, but I honestly think that we need to grab the bull by the horns, because I feel that we got our fingers burnt with Camden, and I don't want to be in that situation again. And if the residents feel like that they don't want more, then we should be backing that.
It's not only residents, we've been over, especially the health centre has been overwhelmed by it, and it cannot provide anything like the service. And I think we should make that point, that there is no more that we can take without an infrastructure plan.
Yeah, and the roads, surgery, just school.
Sorry,
let Dave speak.
going back to the original presentations that were done, when we were talking about development and this part of Milton Keynes, it was generally perceived that they can't develop here because the infrastructure doesn't support it.
Yeah.
That's not just the lack of infrastructure, that's the state of the infrastructure as well. So, fine, fair enough, do that. The other thing as well, Steve's made some points there, and my understanding is we can't preempt aid with the state on that, because there's actually no applications in for that. So there's nothing to object to.
But okay, I'm not saying that we should make a point. I think that we need to elaborate on that, the points that are in there. That's all. Just open it up a bit and just talk about the infrastructure, talk about the roads, talk about the surgery, just within that document. So it's there, so they can't, because Milton Keynes got quite a record of just doing what on earth they like anyway, it doesn't matter what we say.
Part of the problem with the roads is the development in Hanslope, each one of those are treated separately by the highways department, not cumulatively together. And each one said that the roads could cope.
Yeah. Alison, you want to speak?
Yeah, I was just going to say, in my own comments, as well as the Castlethorpe Parish Council, we fully acknowledge that we actually support the elements of this plan that rejects the rural north, because for exactly those reasons, for the reasons they've established, there isn't infrastructure to support it, and so we called that out to make it very obvious.
Yeah, that's what we should.
Yeah,
We should be seen as doing that.
Okay.
And that just is to kind of help them as well. So it's not
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Ian.
Now, this all went back when the first lot of housing went opposite Sport Ground, the Don Hill developed. And the Grange were asked, they could have a plot of land down the bottom of the lane, field, one school, nothing, and certain 106 money, that all development going on, could have supplied a brand new big surgery with parking for 30, 40 cars. And now Grange Park and the one they tell you that I mentioned decided no. And that's the reason we're in them to support that.
No, actually, can I just respond on some of these points? The reason, I mean, Alison's talked about the fact that there seems to be a recent resurgence in the problems between the two health areas. You know, that should get resolved, and I'm sure it will be at some point, is just very frustrating that it's come up again. The real problem with, and you know, having been part of the development group a couple of years ago, the real problem with the doctor surgery is they just can't get the doctors. And I think they have I think Hanslope has a relationship with Leicester teaching training facility or whatever. Anyhow, that is true wherever you put the houses. You know, it's actually to do with having an expanding population. You just can't get the doctors through the system to do it. It's not a reason for not having it in Castlethorpe or not having it in Hounslow. It's a reason for not having it anywhere, arguably in Milton Keynes, which the policy is that they are going to have it in Milton Keynes. You know, so the doctors one really, as a specific issue, isn't really going to help, because they'll just say, well, that's a general problem that we've got, not one specific to Castlethorpe. Why would we, you know,
Sorry.
on the road?
Disagree with that.
Yes, right.
Well, it's true.
They
Well,
put that in
yeah.
there. So
Hang on.
why can't we put it
Hang on
in
a minute. Hang on a minute. Let me.
It may be true generally, Phil, but in our area, it is worse than it is anywhere else.
I don't think that's particularly true, actually. If you talk to other people, they also have great problems in getting doctors. Anyway, let me finish. On the roads, the point that Russell has made is that I can't think of any planning application where, oh no, there's one. There's only one planning application I can think of that has ever been rejected because of roads, and the one I can think of is actually that one just over by the motorway services area in Newport Pagnell, because of the narrow bridge, and they couldn't get across there. But that is the only one, and that's a very special reason. All the developments in Hounslow, as Russell has said, and so on, that they would do that. And the reason I'm kind of taking, I mean, my position is, you know, we log that further development's not appropriate. I don't mind expanding that a little bit more if you really want to, but I'd almost be inclined not to stick your head above the parapet if no one's aiming at you. You're not going to preempt them, honest you're not. If what's going to happen here is that the landowners on the 3 sites that have been put forward, if they're so minded, and they probably will be, will come in and object. And if you say, oh, it's because of the doctors and because of the roads, because of this, that, and the other, public transport, they'll just come in and they'll say, oh, well, know what the objections are now. Right, we'll do this on the roads, and we'll do that, and we'll have a highway study that shows that the roads are perfectly adequate and so on. And they'll know what we're going to object to. So I personally wouldn't do it, but I mean, I'm not going to die in the ditch over this.
On those 3 sites, if you look at the complete details, apart from the headline details of the number there are reasons why it could go ahead, and there are also lots of reasons why they're not suitable. And a lot of them is the lack of infrastructure. The 2 in this end of the village, and its proximity to a Grade 1 listed building as well.
Well,
that also applies.
So why do you agree with that?
To the one down Station Road.
By putting them in writing, when I don't think that's going to do any harm at all.
I can't see.
Well, look, let's, rather than letting this go on, put a phrase of, you know, we've got to put a phrase here. Do it. In fact, I think you can probably edit it in yourself if you bring it up. But we have to do this now, because Jackie has got to write this tomorrow to get in. So this isn't something we can say, oh, well, we'll let Jackie go and sort it out later and take some notes. We have to do it now. So I'm going to suggest, Russell, if you wouldn't mind, that we do take out this business about the verbal assurances, because yeah, thank you. I'll take that out. If you do it in a different colour, then we can see what you're doing. You're going to go after.
Will somebody reword it? Because I have no idea what I'm doing on these things. I'm not going to lie.
Right, you're going in paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4. You want to just type something in on the end of that. Given the limited facilities in the village, further development is not appropriate.
Thank you. I mean, the local health service, the local health practices are completely overwhelmed. having not been upgraded through several sets of development.
Yeah, try not to use emotive language, just
Well,
say
overlap is
it.
right. It is overlap.
No. Well, there are, I'll tell you what, well, go on. I saw your name come up then, Darren. I thought you were going to be sort of
No.
changing that.
We're deleting a T, it said Team Council, just put the T back in.
Oh.
Hey, no, I'm not home. Will you try again? Yeah, it's ready.
Apologise to residents. It's not usual that we try and do things in real time here, but it just has to be done tonight, and we have to agree what we're going to say. You do know that road has just been repaired quite extensively.
It's still narrow, isn't it? It's still
Narrow.
got bridges,
Yeah,
that
but
have weight
it's-
restrictions.
no,
and
no,
still has
No, you're
coming
just
down.
saying which has deteriorated.
Where's that?
Yes, totally gets ignored. The road from past the Navy to Station.
Over the bridges.
That road's just, those bridges weren't made for the amount of traffic.
And their responsibility is into the middle of the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Northampton.
Yeah.
Can we just, yeah,
I've discussed that the full details of one of the three sites here, which is land west of Castlethorpe Road, so that's the one between the railway line.
Yeah.
And the constraints that the planners say on that is there is uncertainty in relation to the wider sustainability of this location for development in terms of transport and access to facilities. Significant development around Castlethorpe would also likely put pressure on the local highway infrastructure, including walking, cycling and local facilities, which are not suitable to accommodate a high level of growth. Heritage will also need to be a main consideration. If the site were to come forward, the site is immediately adjacent to the Castlethorpe Conservation Area. It's in close proximity to a number of listed buildings and has the potential to impact upon two scheduled ancient monuments, as well as being the site of the early Iron Age flying spot.
well, I mean, absolutely.
That basically says everything.
Yes, that's
And that
exactly,
applies also to the route one at Thrupp Close and all but and the one at the bottom of Station Road, actually. Certainly about the sustainability.
well, that's, I mean, to be honest, that's the really big one. That's 90 houses or something. I think that would be quite an impact on the village. I'm not supporting it, but you know, I actually don't, I do think that if you talked about development of 30 houses and the residents supported it, I honestly, I think we'd be foolish to say all the roads couldn't stand another 30 houses or then
I
whatever.
wasn't putting any numbers, I've just said. So
Okay.
these include the lack of local health services, which currently cannot cope with the population as it stands. The narrow road from 508 to Castlethorpe, which has badly deteriorated over the last few years, was never built to facilitate the amount of traffic in and out of the village. And
Yeah.
a new development would only add to this problem.
All right.
Flooding is also an issue.
I'm just going to copy this and send it around as a Word document.
Yeah, but look, are we all happy? I mean, I'm not going to die in a ditch over this if Dave wants to, you know, to put this in.
Well,
Fair
it's
dues.
not as bad.
Right?
It's not.
All right, if you want, but yeah,
Thank you,
it should. You know, I'm okay. Are we okay to have that wording? Can we all see it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, okay. All right, we'll do that then. Yeah, all in favour, yeah? Good. Right.
Will that save him?
Yeah, that is saved. That will actually be the version that's now on, yeah, in the folder. Okay. Right. Please no one make any more changes to it. Right. Where are we now? We now move on to 7.3. How much is this child bollard?
About £150.
Yeah, now, I do know from speaking to one of the residents there, it did make a difference, except for the awkward bloke in a Skoda, apparently, whoever that is. But anyway, everyone else was following the parking
It
rules.
didn't make a huge difference because people just didn't park there. But as far as they couldn't, unless they stuck the road out. So no, I think it's a really good idea.
Right,
Would the
Okay.
principal be prepared to keep doing
yeah. Okay. On the basis, yeah, if they carry on doing it, can we just move straight to a vote on this then? All in favour? Yeah, good. 7.4 is the donations, £30 to Royal British Legion for a wreath, which incidentally you need to buy online. I think it will work out less than 30.
Yeah, I think it's 25.
25, I think it
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Just in case
And new
they-
Bradwell Silver Band. Yeah, all in favour?
Yeah, but November day, I think.
I don't know.
10th.
Then,
Oh, and if I can just say, would you like to say it, Darren, as the,
We can do, the Beavers and Cubs from Castlethorpe will be doing a march from here to, the War Memorial to lay a wreath on the morning of,
When are you doing
Okay.
Do we have a band?
When are you doing Windsor?
we've got a few of them.
Such a relief.
It's Castlethorpe and Slough.
Oh,
Beavers and Cubs, so we're gonna do it here this year.
Okay.
No, these are beavers and cubs. They're like 7 to 9 year olds.
Oh, I don't know at that age.
Yeah, you can.
Say that again, would you say?
Yeah.
6 till 10 and a half, 6 till, 10 and a half.
So yes, so that'd be nice. And the beavers and cubs, or one of them, will lay the wreath on the village behalf. Right, all in favour of that, will we vote? Fine. Participation in VE Day on the 80th anniversary celebrations. That's the May the 8th of next year, which I think is a Thursday. But will you be up for the beacon? I mean, I think it is possible. Well, it should be more than possible that we could, and we don't need to, because all we need to say here is that we'll participate, but we should be able to hold it up at the sports ground.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah,
That'd be
and,
nice.
you know, adjourn inside for a glass of
It's not just
refreshment.
beacon, it's singing
Yeah.
the hymn as well.
And I don't know if you, sorry,
Singing the hymn as well.
you've got to sing the hymn, yeah, yeah. Well, Steve said he'd lead us on that.
Do you want me to reply to that?
It was you, was it?
I've got a copy on the mail as well, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you?
Did you say it's
Yeah,
Thursday?
Yeah, sorry.
That's the night we meet, actually.
Well, James actually said that he was prepared to bring the Beavers and Cubs and maybe even Scouts if he's got them by then
Yeah.
along. And perhaps they would join in the singing of the hymn, whatever it is. You know, well, we'd better leave Dave to light the beacon because it's a bit pyrotechnic. So,
Is there any room to store the beacon? Because currently it's just at the back there.
don't you believe it, well,
well, can we
Not bringing it here and putting the store.
Yeah. I mean, there is. I'm going to digress. I wouldn't mind us looking in that storage cupboard under the tennis courts, viewing gallery.
you can check out all the clothes and
Yeah.
bloody left.
And we could use that for storage, yeah. Anyway, so we're going to participate in that. Can we move on? 7.6 is to adopt the complaints procedure. We had it in draft. And through an oversight, we actually hadn't formally adopted it. This is actually the latest model, which, because it had to be revised, was it 2022, I think it was, after a parish somewhere else, not in Milton Keynes, got into a bit of bother. So this is the latest one. I'll propose it. Yeah, all in favour, yeah. To decide on works needed at the tennis court floodlights. Steve, are you okay doing this, or do you want me to?
I'm in the great position here, and it's like it's nice to be given to me, and where that came up to actually assess what can be done. I couldn't make it, so Billy and Jackie were there. So if it's the right view, that's all that I would say is that by the look of it, we've got two options at the moment to either remove or repair. And repair is cheaper than remove, so it seems to be what we'll do.
Well, let's be clear. What this metal worker has said is he can repair 3 of them for £700.
Is that putting the RSJ in?
No.
Oh.
What he's doing is he's going to put a steel sleeve around the outside, weld that onto the bottom, weld the nuts shut if he can't tighten them, and then I think he's putting a bolt through, because apparently the reason this has got into trouble is that the sleeves were only riveted to the spigot, and they're very tall posts with quite large lights on them. And with the wind, it sort of sways from time to time, and it's just loosened those rivets at the bottom. And
Except
that's
the
what's
bar
gone. Sorry?
Except for the bar one, started up a rope.
Well,
You wouldn't be able to do that without it cracked concrete. Then.
yeah. Well, there he's going to put more ground anchors in to secure it. So, I mean, he's basically saying he will do that, and I think you know, he talked through putting RSJs in, and he felt that actually that would cause a little bit of a problem on the side opposite to where the RSJ was put in. So he was very confident, I think, that this was going to be a solution. In fairness, you know, he could run into more problems when he gets down there, but he has done a couple of bits of work for us before, which have been very satisfactory up at the clubhouse, those new benches that cricket had, and some work on the sinks. You know, he did that. We were very pleased with it. So I think we, you know, I would certainly say that. Now, he did say he could do all 6 of them, but I was really working. A, we haven't got a lot of money, and B, I was working on the basis if it ain't broke, don't fix it. 3 of those tennis poles are pretty firm. And well, they're firm. I mean, not pretty. They are firm. I can't move them, nor could anyone else. It's just 2 of them are in a bad state, and 1 of them is starting to move, and probably ought to be, you know, stitch and time stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, Bill, can I just ask, is there any chance of the guarantee work?
Can't do it. He won't do that.
no,
I didn't think so.
no, but I tell you what, he'd almost certainly come back and do any further remedial work. Yeah. So that was the yeah. I mean, frankly, I don't know if you all picked up. You know, when Jackie saw Hickford street lights, their attitude was red flag them. They've all got to come down.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so there is a safety risk with those. So, and this chap, he goes by the nickname Buddy, he calls himself Buddy, from his Cosgrove. He said he could probably start towards the end of this week, early next week. So he's going to take him 3 days to get the steel in, you know, so it's that's what he's going to need.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well,
any questions before?
no.
No, Ian, you're okay.
Got me dates. I'm on plan at the moment. I just got me dates away thinking about doing it.
Well, I think it's the only.
It's got to be done, whatever. Right?
Yeah,
We've got to do something.
I think that's the bottom line, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Shall we go with this then?
Yeah, I'll propose it.
You're proposing. Steve's proposing. All in favour then?
We need a second.
I'll second it. So go on. I'll second it then. It's financial.
They wanted to abstain. Ian.
Yeah. It's got to be dates.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Now I'm going to bring forward. Oh no, Public Arts Funding Group. This is just. There's been a lot of discussions. Very sadly, the lady that was helping us, Louise Islard, passed away suddenly. So it's you know, it's well, it's the least of problems, but it's obviously, you know, means that we can't have meaningful discussions on this. And the person who's replacing her, we're almost starting again from scratch in building up. But I think what I'd really like to do is show you what we're talking about, which are these projects here: village signs, some artwork in the bus shelter, potentially some pictures in the clubhouse, and then some ideas for something in the garden area of the clubhouse, and even some stained glass artwork, which actually, since I published this, someone's come back with some new proposals on that. But rather than getting into this in a lot of detail, what I would like to say is that, I'm sure we'd all agree that the village sign is probably the most urgent of all of it. Lawrence Chapman has, he could remove the existing sign, but he said, you'll see the cracks. And the base needs sorting out as well. So if we're going to do this, I think we'd have to have some kind of competition. Lawrence says if this were to be bought commercially, it would be about £8,000, I think. I would suggest that if we looked to, and we'll have to get agreement from the public art lady at Milton Keynes Council, but if we said that we put a maximum on this of, say, 10,000, and then invited people to apply with their designs. You'd have to obviously reduce yourself, but Ollie might want to do something on that.
Depends when we want it, 2026. I'm sure it's something that he would have to do, but
it would have to be an open competition. But there are other artists in the village as well.
Yeah.
And they want to put something forward. So long as it's going to be weatherproof and last. And of course the post itself needs redoing, I believe, Dave, because I think that's more or less gone.
If we did the final design that's chosen, you could do it in the same material that the maps are in, which is totally weatherproof.
Yeah, well, it could be.
Yeah.
Sometimes you would want to do it actually with a 3D relief. That makes it a bit nicer.
But any village signs with 3D.
I think it's not just the actual sign itself, although it's in pieces.
Yes.
It's pretty much okay.
Yeah.
It's the wooden frame and the brick base is the problem.
Yeah. But I think we can look for proposals coming forward, and I think we could get something nice there. And I think actually it is something that a lot of villagers have commented on, and it's something we ought to have. Okay. Right. The other bit that is very cheap, and but we might want to look at, Matt Parry, who's a photographer, who did the photographs. Do you remember he did some black and white photographs?
Yeah, absolutely wonderful.
Of village characters. He has offered those photographs, and one of the suggestions is that we might put them into the clubhouse along with pictures, like historic Castlethorpe pictures from the. Now, I don't think that's going to cost much. They just need to be framed and mounted. But if everyone's agreed, we'll go forward with that one. We're talking about hundreds of pounds there. It's not a lot. And the others will wait in abeyance until we see where we go next. I would like to get on with the village sign, to be honest. Yeah. Can we agree on that then? Yeah, we'll proceed with that. Right, I now bring forward the quotes for Prospect Place and Sportsfield. Now, Prospect Place, I actually put I did put an email here. In Prospect Place, there are 3 lights. There's one pretty much on the bridge, which is a post-mounted modern style one. About halfway down, there's a heritage light, which I think the parish council put in many years ago. And then a little bit further on, nearer to the end, there's another post-mounted light. The further 2, i.e. the heritage and the further post-mounted light, are both gone, leaving Prospect Place in darkness. Now, I did point out to the residents who raised it that it is a private road. You know, and what they have done is they've said, and you'll see this in the note that I've given you, that 8 of them have offered to put £100 in. The bill in total is to repair it, which Jackie's got from Hickford Street Lighting, is about £1,200. So it would only cost us £400 to put lighting in there. I think as the nights are now drawing in, that would be a reasonable thing to do. And we did agree as a council before we went down this route that we would try to put lights into Prospect Place if we could. So I'm going to propose that we accept.
Sorry, did you say 6 or 8 residents?
8 residents.
We've got 6 in there.
No, it says in the bit that I've in the
Last question.
PDF.
And the councillors that residents have offered 6 guys.
We found another 2.
Yeah, at the top, look, just to keep you updated, there is 8 of us.
Okay.
not 6.
Right, if they want to get on the Sorbage, it's Peter Sorbage and Gerald Sorbage.
What's that?
Listening council.
Yeah, Peter Sawbridge, yeah.
Charles Sorbage, that's Peter's number.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, one of the residents down there is attempting to get in touch with Peter Sawbridge. I think he must know him, and to see if he's prepared to contribute as well. No. Okay. So, anyone else want to speak on this? Can I just?
Sorry, I've just got one. So as Hickfords are doing it and they sub coming up against council, I take it not against council, like no problems with us going on and commissioning to do this.
Yes.
So in that case.
Yeah. So I'll come on to the sports ground in a minute, but I'd like to propose, therefore, that we accept this quote from Hickford Street Lighting. And need a seconder because it's financial. That's Steve. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Right, moving on then to the sports ground. You know that for the last couple of years that light on the sports ground has been. We've been arguing about whether it's been working or not, and sometimes it's dim and sometimes it's out. I think we probably do need to get that replaced, apart from anything else, because it will illuminate the footpath leading up to the clubhouse when it opens. So we've got a bid there for about £1,000 to get that done. It'll be in a heritage style, so the same as the rest of the village. So they'll do what they did with the other street lights. They cut the top off, put a heritage lantern on top, an LED one, and paint it black.
Do we need more? I don't know what the word is, but we need it to shed more light than the normal street light would. Does it need to be brighter?
So it'd be LED to start with.
It's a bit LED, but it needs to be quite powerful.
Not orange.
Not
Well,
orange.
Yeah. No, it'd be white. It's a white light.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean,
We got nothing to get with it then.
It was. In fact, you know, I've got a feeling we may have approved it a while ago. But I couldn't find it in the minutes at a quick glance, and I wasn't going to spend hours going through it. So
problem that needs to.
yeah. All in, again, I'll propose. Russell is seconding. All in favour. Right. Now we move on to the RFO payment schedule.
There's the tree, quite the trees or something.
Oh, the tree. You're right. Now, do I have that?
No, it was verbal.
Right. Do you want to just talk us through both the comments, well, the request, the comments?
Yeah, so a resident said that the bottom of the sports ground, as you go out of the sports ground into look through the gate through Lodge Farm Court, the trees are forming a canopy over the footpath between the trees and the hedges.
That's nice.
And
Not really got
it's very
a lot of
dark.
water on it, mate. You've got wet net.
And it's dark.
Yeah.
And so we had the resident come out, and he said the trees are all healthy. They are all healthy. There's no damage to the trees. They're not going to fall over or anything else. So it's purely cosmetic whether or not.
Is this the trees by the, nature?
Football pitch.
Yes,
Yeah.
by the
I brought
nature,
that up last meeting.
yeah, so I went away and. The arborist has come back.
Well, it's joking.
So it's the findings of him basically.
So why do they want to choose that?
Well,
They want them cut back.
they want them cut back, but I think the recommendation from the tree surgeon was,
Tree surgeon, well, it's basically, it was our decision, they don't need doing. If we want them done, it's gonna be about £900.
Well, so what else?
That was
Who put the complaint in to start with?
one of the residents in Lodge Farm Court that walked through. It's very dark there and it can be
Very dark.
security
yeah,
if somebody's lurking.
Somebody did cut them back though, because before you were literally walking past.
Yeah.
It was hitting your head, so somebody has taken them up,
Yeah.
so that's definitely been done.
We have raised some friends.
well, look,
Yeah.
I
so-
think the issue is whether we're going to spend £900, and I personally, given where we are,
Not a chance.
indeed.
And the other one was
Okay.
a resident on the back of Lodge Farm Court, where
All
they're
right.
in the hedge. He wants the sycamores, have got very big, again, they're healthy. And he said it was
Where's
the back of the houses that back onto the sports field, you know where the hedge is, it's all
Yeah.
overgrown, there's a couple of sycamores in there, in that hedge.
Yeah.
that are
This is
on
at
our
the Thrupp
side.
Close.
No, well, the Lodge Farm Court.
So
On the Lodge Farm.
We were gonna wait for them to cut it back and then have a look, weren't we?
Yeah, but he's had a look through the hedge and he said
Yeah.
it's a healthy tree. Again, it's,
Yeah, we don't want to take them.
Yeah. That's
I
what-
don't think
Okay.
it's proper trees.
Right. I mean, I have to say, just a bit of interest, a resident at the other end in Thrupp Close did say that there was a tree that was getting quite large and was blocking some of the light into his house. And he said, would we mind if he, just shaped it a little bit more? And I said, well, he'd have to ask us formally to do that. And I think that's the way around it, isn't it? I mean, it's people who feel they need tree
It's
shaping.
down through this to ground,
They do, right? Yeah,
nuisance.
right.
Yeah.
So we're not doing that. So let's now move on to the payment schedule. Call that one up. And yeah, lots of money. That's mainly because of the big
Yeah.
Hickford's final invoice, which is nearly 20 grand plus VAT. But there are other items in there as well. There's some of the money, there's some of the expenditure on the clubhouse from the Milton Keynes Community Foundation grant. We decided to spend that money now rather than wait. Talk about waiting until to keep the warranty going, keep the warranty as late as possible. But then we realised the prices were just going up every month, so we decided to go forward as we agreed at the last meeting. Anyway, does anyone have any questions on any of the items on here?
I should.
Oh, yes, yeah. Let's do it.
Dying to put food in.
Okay.
What was the duplicate payment from Milton Council?
oh, so we had some section 106 money paid, and they paid it twice. And then when I realised that they paid it twice, we would have had to
Yeah.
give it back eventually.
Okay, can I propose that we, I need a seconder, it's Darren, and all in favour? Yeah. Thank you.
Come back.
Going back to the street, the lights on the water ground bill,
Yeah,
he's got to turn the, have the electric turned off. We know who's going to do it safely, who's not going to do it.
what, the
When you,
street light?
when you do the floodlight.
Oh, the floodlight. Yeah, can we discuss that outside the meeting?
Yeah,
If you just
fine.
hang on just for a minute, but that's an important point. I need to talk to him about it. I'm assuming we can switch it off from inside the, but anyway, we'll talk about it next. Right, let's keep moving. The external auditor report. Jackie circulated that and just made those couple of minor things that were just procedural, which have been corrected. What do we have to do? Do we just note this?
Note it that you,
Yeah.
there's no further actions required.
Yeah, just be aware.
Okay,
And
yeah, so noted. So move on, any correspondence?
There's the, crime report.
The crime report, yeah. So we've got,
Dangerous
One
dog.
one dangerous dog, one ASB,
Yeah.
and one person acting suspiciously in the last month, I think.
Sorry.
I'll tell you what though, I'm not amused about. It came to my notice that the locks, the padlock getting into the tennis courts has been cut off twice.
yeah,
I didn't know. I mean, I think that CCTV on the clubhouse will now pick that up.
yeah.
If anyone does, but we do need to.
Done a long time ago, the first time it was done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and we do need to have a talk with the sports association about, particularly about the tennis and as we go forward.
yeah, we do.
And Jackie and himself are aware of that. We'll keep you up to date with any conversations we have about them.
Okay, thank you. Right, next meet. Any other business?
Yes, I've just received details that somebody has transferred another £100 towards the development.
Oh, that's very good.
Leaves us now seven.
Yeah, did you very much appreciate the, the generous donation of villages? It's well, it's our facility basically.
Yeah.
Any other business? Next meetings then, our next parish council meeting is on the 4th of November. There is also the MALC meeting on the 24th of October, which I can't attend. So I am looking for someone else to attend that on my behalf, please. It's at Wolfton Community Centre. In extremis, you can join it by Zoom, but I can tell you it's not great because they always seem to test it and it works, and then they knock the microphone and people can't be heard and stuff. But anyway, can someone go to that, please, if you could think about it?
It's a Thursday.
Lecture.
Is it
It's a Thursday.
It's on.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry.
Good man.
Actually, I think they should find a way to avoid.
Right. Well, in that case, I think meeting closed. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Close them.